So with Doom: The Dark Ages finally being fully revealed, we got the May 15th release date, which I mean we can all pretty much guarantee that's going to be before Metroid Prime 4 Beyond comes out this year when it does come out, May 15th. Seeing as the Nintendo show is April 2nd, the likely scenario of Prime 4 being out by May 15th would have to mean that by then that the Switch 2 already dropped. Mario Kart is likely going to be a launch game first, so that's out, and then yeah, they decided to put Prime 4 out at the same time, which would be great for me. That's the hope. But yeah, so the chances of that actually happening, though, I think are slim to none. I see the Switch 2 launching at the earliest in June, showing April, give people 2 months to get everything in order, pre-orders and things like that, launch in June. And then that's not to say that Prime 4 is even going to come out day one. If it comes out in June, I can see Nintendo being like, you know what? We like putting out Metroid games around that August time, so let's just put Prime 4 out in August. And that'll be fine because they can easily go Mario Kart at launch in June, Prime 4 in August, 3D Mario game in the fall, something else, for the holiday in December, maybe a Monolith Soft game, seeing as that kind of was the rollout for the original Switch. Monolith just showed up out of nowhere with a Xenoblade 2. We were like, what? For real? Like, damn, that's an efficient studio right there. But yeah, Retro Studios, man, not so much. Nah, they've been taking their time and they've been trying to make the perfect game. Now, look, if you've watched any of my Metroid videos, you've heard me bring up Doom. I bring it up all the time. Why? Because I love Doom games, and it's hard not to love the last, let's call it what it is now, the trilogy, the Dark Ages trilogy. It's hard not to love those games when you love Metroid Prime because they basically play like action adventure Metroid Prime games, like with far more action, but it's a lot of Prime elements in there, especially in Eternal, right? So I've always made the comparisons. And before Eternal 2016, before those games ever launched, I was always making this comparison between the basically like the curve stomps and everything that you do in Gears of War, where you could down the enemy and then run up to them, basically what glory kills are. And I've wanted something like that in Metroid, right? Because you play other M, you basically had them in there. And you got to see Samus do super cool stuff and stick her arm cannon inside a space pirate mouth and then blah, and just green guck everywhere. So I wanted that basically in a Prime game. I thought that would work great. Hell, I even want like you using your arm cannon to uppercut or to parry and do things like you would in Dread. I would love to see that stuff cross over to a Prime game. And I said this countless times. You've heard me say this before. But now looking at Doom: The Dark Ages and getting that full reveal and seeing that now you're going to be playing a Slayer who's more like a tank. Funny because people always compared Samus in the Prime games to a tank. And she just, gradually just got less tank-like with each entry. So Doom Eternal, you're running around basically super fast, jumping, climbing on walls. I mean, absolute maniac the Slayer was in that game. So now in Dark Ages, you got your shield. The way Hugo Martin put it, he put it best, is like in this game, you're going to stop and fight. You're not going to be running. So it's like you're blocking, you throwing your shield. It's, basically drilling into an enemy the whole time. You shooting. And then it's just, just layer on top of layer in that action gameplay, right? They really focused in, honed in on that. And stuff like the glory kills now are different. They're like big boots. It's like use your mace, use your ball and chain. It's all these different weapons. Not so much, here's this like really quick, cinematic of you just ripping the enemy apart. And we have dozens of those, depending on the angle you come, depending on what enemy it is. They designed so many of those. Now, they didn't really do that. Now it's just, ragdoll physics. You just exploding dudes with a kick or your mallet or whatever the case may be, right? It's cool to see that they basically went through all these stages, different stages with each entry in the trilogy. And it brings me to all those wants that I had for the Prime series. Like, I wanted the Prime games to, get a bit faster. I want to climb every ledge like you could in the Doom instead of only the little green slits that you get in the Prime 3, right? It felt like we was heading towards that anyway. So it's like, yeah, I hope they got there with Prime 4. But now if they did get there, let's say, and they did add the glory kills and yeah, you can, parry with your arm cannon and stuff like that. They added all that. It's funny that this game would be more now like Doom Eternal, and then Doom: The Dark Ages would be taking a step back from that and becoming more tank. Like, I'm not going to say it's more Prime, but you are slower, more tank like Samus was in Prime versus what you see from her in other M or even in Prime 3 where you have such freedom of movement across the screen due to the pointer, but then you also have your screw attack, you're grabbing on ledges, the jump ball was introduced. Yeah, they re-added that stuff, to the trilogy, like where you could jump the ball with just the press of a button or just flicking the, Wii remote up. Like they added that to the other ones, but that was introduced in Prime 3, so it made everything just easier. You didn't have to sit there and wait to, okay, power bomb, boom, now I'm up, Like, no, you could just jump up, put one up, then jump up to that one, boom, boom, and get higher ground quicker. So the games kept getting, faster, more seamless. Instead of switching beams, things started stacking and stuff like that, which I really enjoyed. And now it's just funny. Like it's just would be so wild if Metroid ends up going more towards Doom 2016 and Eternal, while Dark Age is basically, not pulling back from those, just going in a different direction from those. And I get it because they've been there, done that. So adding like all that Doom element stuff from 2016 and Eternal to a Prime 4 would still be my dream scenario. Because I'm not going to lie, watching the Doom gameplay, I'm super hyped for it. I think it's going to be incredible. Might even be the best game out of them all. But a part of me can't help but feel like, damn, am I going to miss like the glory kills? Like, I know there's still stuff like that. If you watch the gameplay, there's a part where he like stomps on one of the demons and then he takes the shield and bashes the ground but cuts his head off in the process. Like, that was crazy. And it's like, yeah, so you still getting the glory kill vibes in there. So it's all in there. And then like jumping, while it's not gonna be a dominant technique it feels in this game, it's still in there. You still have a jump button, you're still gonna be able to do that. So it's gonna be interesting. And then again, when it comes to speed, they put a speed slider there so you can make the game faster, like Eternal, or slow it down even more just to make the game more accessible, easier for you to dodge things. Maybe there's a bunch of enemies, you can see things clearer if it's not going so fast. I like those user accessibility features, and I honestly hope that Nintendo and Retro Studios does the same thing for Prime games. I know I've been saying this in a lot of my content, but I'm actually a Metroid fan who is okay with the series changing, doing new things in order to entice new players to play the series so that the series survive. I'm not one of the Metroid fans who is just like, yeah, Super Metroid, Metroid Prime 1 all day, every day. If not that, then screw it. If you don't like it, then don't play it. Like, then you're not going to get new games to play. Because if they don't like it, the general public, Nintendo's not just going to keep making these games. You know what I'm saying? Hell, look, Uncharted, super popular series. It's been 10 years since we got one of those. So we are very lucky to be getting the Prime game right now. You know what I'm saying? And we should be grateful and also open to all kinds of possibilities for the series to grow, and become something more. Like, a lot of other fans out there are going to be the ones screaming at the clouds, talking about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are in real Zelda games. And yeah, us Zelda fans are like, they're definitely real Zelda games. They're some of the best Zelda games, if not the best Zelda games. And not only that, you're a horrible fan because this series now is bigger and better than ever. Movies and production and all that. And you salty? You salty? But I get it. There's a lot of fans, within fandoms who want to like police the IP, don't want the IP to do anything. Just ask Halo fans. They do this all the time. But yeah, I think you know, the learnings from Prime for Doom games, which were apparent, I want to see it go the other way, and I still want to see a lot of things from Eternal show up in Prime 4 and from Doom 2016 in Prime 4. I just think it'll be hilarious if, well, I guess now we could say, well, it is an if and a when. It'll be hilarious when Doom comes out, in May, and then Metroid comes out after, and if Doom, pulled away from Eternal and Metroid, like, got closer to Eternal, that's just going to be super fun. The optics of it is going to be fun, but also how the game's review will be fun. If some people are like, oh yeah, you know what, I loved Dark Ages, but I missed this and that, so I'm going to dock at some points. But then Metroid took those things and it's like, oh yeah, Metroid has this on top of all that Prime goodness, so now it's an 11 out of 10. That would be hilarious too. Like, I want both these games to be masterpieces, great, but at the end of the day, they both competing with Split Fiction for Game of the Year. Everything's competing with Split Fiction for Game of the Year, whether people want to admit it or not. March is going to be when the flag is basically planted in the Game of the Year talks, and everything else is going to be trying to climb up that mountain and get Hazellight's crazy ass video games. Because what they did with It Takes Two and what they doing with this, I know is going to be incredible. incredible. But yeah, what a year, man, of video games, right? A lot of good stuff coming out. And yeah, I do hope Prime 4 is a launch title. But I'm okay if the Switch comes out in June. We got Mario Kart at launch. That'll make the time go mad. Even if Prime was in the fall, it's gonna make the year go fast. Cause Mario Kart, tournaments and just the community and the camaraderie around it, it'll make the time go fast. Especially if they support that game, with a lot of DLC. And every time a game comes out, they're adding DLC and DLC to it to tie to those games, like I mentioned in the previous video. I know, Ipster, you had asked me. Yeah, it was you who asked in the actual Discord community, which you could join, by the way, by becoming a patron member. Uh, you asked if that would be a smart idea, like for them to do that, and I think it would be. I think it's super smart to use your other IP to catapult the mainline entries. I think Smash Brothers has done that for games. I'm sure there's plenty of Metroid fans who play Dread, but their first, introduction to the character was probably in Smash Brothers Ultimate, and it was, yeah, I played that. I liked Samus. I mained her. And now I got into the series through maybe YouTube retrospectives. And then my first game was actually Dread. And then through Nintendo Switch Online, I played, Zero Mission and Fusion and Super. And now I'm just waiting. Oh, yeah. And then I played, the remaster of Prime 1. And now I'm waiting for Prime 4. Like, these games can potentially make fans. Like, personally, I never played a Fire Emblem game, right? But every time a Fire Emblem game has ever been announced, I'm like, oh, that's this character, that's that character. And they're usually characters from Smash Brothers. And I know them because of that. You know what I'm saying? So it helps even for folks who aren't like, oh, yeah, you're a Nintendo fan, but you might not like that IP. It lets you partake with that character. You know what I'm saying? So I always look at that as a positive because let's say, for example, I don't play Fire Emblem games, but I'm a beast with the Fire Emblem characters in Smash Brothers because, well, they've been there since Melee, and uh, yeah, I like the way the characters are there. Their power levels. Ike is incredibly strong, but then Marth is a lot more just just cleaner, smoother in their fighting ability and their stance. But then Roy is like this in between, like just like the most manic one out of all of them. So yeah, and then you got the other ones, like the other characters. So yeah, like they add to 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 the fandom, even if you're not there with each entry, it adds to it. So I think that's a positive just for that alone. Like maybe there's somebody who never played Splatoon, but they main the Inkling, in Smash, in Mario Kart. You know what I mean? And that's cool because it gets you. Matter of fact, a perfect example would be, what if somebody played as Link in Mario Kart, right? They had Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Like, yeah, awesome. Play that a ton. Yeah, I like this character. Oh, I didn't even know that there was a game with Link. They don't even say Breath of the Wild. They don't say Zelda. And I'm talking back in 2017 when Deluxe came out. So they play that game and then they go, you know what? I'm gonna pick up that Breath of the Wild. I'm seeing people enjoying it. I like Link and Mario Kart. That's my main right now. So yeah, I'm gonna play the game, then get into it, and then they showed up for Tears of the Kingdom. Bam. That's how including that character in the game that's not their mainline game basically grew that franchise. I think that's very important, crucial. And look, the Mario roster is huge, right? They could tap into Paper Mario. They could tap into the new entries, the new games. Look how many characters Mario turned into in Mario Odyssey. Obviously, there's different costumes of the character, so that could be a different version on the cart. Like obviously, you got the wedding outfits for all the three main Mario, Peach, and Bowser. So then you can add that from Odyssey, and those could be either different characters like Pinko Peach, sadly, or they could be costume swaps, which I know that's what we all hope for. But the point is that they can uh, uh, just obviously build on Mario Kart with the IP's growth throughout the last. It's been 10 years since the last Mario Kart, so they could add a bunch of characters. But I honestly, and as a diehard Mario fan, I don't want that. I do want Mario to become Nintendo Kart. Not in name. I want it to still be Mario Kart. Just like Smash Bros. Is a play on Super Mario Bros. You know what I mean? Like, and hell, the game is even a play on that original Mario Brothers beat 'em up. I want Mario Kart to still be Mario Kart, but yeah, bring in the other cast of characters. Make it Mario Kart, All Star, Mario Kart, Superstar Friends, or something like that, and everybody is part of it. Everybody's coming into the game. I want Samus actually in there, not me with a me costume, even though I still want my me in there. with some costumes. Like, yeah, I want all that. I want Kirby in there. You know what I mean? Like, imagine their abilities actually making it into the game. You know what I mean? Like that. That's a lot of potential there. So yeah, I would always say doing that to leverage an IP would be great. Imagine Mario Kart launching day one, and then out of nowhere, when Prime 4 is about to come out, if it don't come out right at launch, right, so that they're not on top of each other, right? Here comes Samus, and Silex and these characters into Mario Kart. Whether they have a chibi art style or they don't. Either way, like I said, a floating Metroid on a cart, that'll be great. Like you got Piranha playing, you got Boo, you can do that. There's no excuse. You can do anything. You can make a Wonder Flower a goddamn character. Those Wonder Flowers talked in Mario Wonder. So trust me, like you can tap into Mario and just make a giant roster of great characters that we'll look at and be like, that's a great Mario Kart roster or Mario IP. But yeah, to make the most noise and to make it an event every time DLC is coming and things like that. Who is it going to be? Who's that Pokemon? It'd be who's that Nintendo character? You wouldn't know. You wouldn't be because if it's just Mario characters, you're gonna always think, oh, new DLC is coming. Who could it be? At some point, people are gonna be like, yeah, I got all my favorite like Mario characters. So if it was Nintendo, I'd be more interested. But now I'm just gonna tune out because I don't care whether they add, a Hammer Brother or whatever the case may be. Like I'm just not into Mario that much the IP, so I'm not gonna pick up more stuff. I'm good with the base game. I'll see the DLC when I'm racing online, all the other characters. That'll potentially happen. I think with Mario Kart being Nintendo Kart, basically, yeah, that problem wouldn't really happen. People will always be excited for, oh, who they gonna add next? And then when you open the door to Nintendo Kart, immediately the door opens to, okay, so Sonic and friends, right? Because, I mean, we got to bring our cousins over here. You know what I mean? Like, we got a lot of friends. TurboGrafx 16, always showing up when Nintendo's doing console, Sega Genesis, So that's when you start saying, oh, the third party floodgates start opening. And why not? Oh, here comes Hollow Knight. Yeah, we're going to put Hollow Knight, right when Silk Song is coming out in Mario Kart. And it's it opens the door to new possibilities. Like, that probably wouldn't happen, but I'll be all for it, definitely.